Africa is entering a new era. As the world around it changes, so does the conversation about the continent's future. But beyond the headlines are bigger questions about leadership, responsibility, and Africa's place in a rapidly evolving world. In Kigali, we sat down with Professor Patrick Locke Otieno Lumumba to explore the ideas he believes will shape Africa's next chapter. His voice has inspired conversations across Africa for decades. But what continues to drive that passion?
The love for Africa, the love for the continent, which compels me to feel her pain when our sons and daughters are not realizing the potential that they ought to realize. It pains me when I see African images of malnutrited children, when I see people going to school under trees, when I see diseases that are preventable ravaging the continent of Africa, when I see people not being fed, when I see the middle class taking their children outside of the continent, yet we are a continent that is endowed with resources, human and natural. And that energizes me because history also informs me that other civilizations went through this process. And I'm also energized by the fact that we are laboring under historical burdens, which makes our journey a lot more difficult. And my clarion call is, it can't be done, and it is our duty to do it.
As the global balance of power shifts, many believe Africa has a rare opportunity to redefine its place in the world. Professor Lumumba sees it differently.
It is not for Africa to negotiate for its interests. It's Africa to recognize our interests so that people can negotiate with her. That is the way it should be. This idea that we will be negotiating with others is not the route out of what we are suffering from. Let us be strong, and when we are strong, meetings will be held in Kigali, they'll be held in Addis Ababa, they'll be held in Lagos, they'll be held in Ouagadougou, they'll be held in Nairobi and Dar es Salaam and Kampala. We'll not be going to Beijing and Paris and Rome and Sochi and the United States in Washington, D.C. Let us make ourselves the true cultural, economic, and technological north for the world to gravitate towards, because this is the mother continent.
Africa is rich in talent, yet leadership remains one of its greatest tests. Across Africa, we have more educated leaders today than ever before. Yet many countries still struggle with governance, corruption, youth unemployment. Do you think Africa's biggest shortage today is not resources, but courageous leadership?
What Africa is suffering, at least the majority of African countries, is unethical leaderships, greedy individuals in positions of leadership. And let us not confuse the accumulation of qualifications for education. One can't be a professor or a holder of numerous degrees, but when there is no ethical anchors, when there are no moral anchors, he could very well be a monster. So what Africa is hungry for are men and women in positions of leadership who are compassionate, men and women who are visionary, men and women who recognize that positions of leadership are positions of trust. When we have such men and women who want to leave their societies better than they found them, then that is what is called leadership. That is what is called patriotism.
Rwanda's development story continues to draw attention across the continent. We asked Professor Lumumba what, in his view, makes that progress possible.
Let me tell you, discipline is half the journey. What the administration of President Kagame has instituted in Rwanda is discipline. And once you have discipline as the lifeblood of activities, then it gives birth to honesty, then it gives birth to vision, then it gives birth to compassion, and then it gives birth to all these things which are external signs, so that the police person or the police woman and man in the bit will not accept a bribe, because there are consequences, there is accountability, there is transparency. The contractor who has been given the task of doing the roads will not compromise standards. The minister who has been assigned duties will ensure that they deliver. And when this happens, and it is happening in Rwanda, then the country begins to see the dividend. The country does not need to talk about GDP. When you hear countries talking about GDP most of the time, those are statistics. People are talking about gross national happiness. You go to rural villages in Musanze and you talk to a woman or a man who is in the village. Are they happy? Are the schools delivering? Are the hospitals delivering? Is the agricultural sector working? And I think for the moment, the administration led by President Paul Kagame is doing that. The only thing that I keep on saying is that this must be sustained, so that when President Kagame, like the good dancer he is, leaves the stage, the next dancer who takes over the baton will dance in the same manner, if not better. And then President Kagame, retired or wherever he will be, will say, behold, I started the race well, and those who took over are running it even better.
For Professor Lumumba, Africa's future will not be written by history alone, but by the leaders who choose service over self, and by citizens determined to build the continent they want to see. And if every African president paused to listen, what message would Professor Lumumba leave with them?
This has been my constant message. Use this God-given opportunity to serve so well. Change the quality of the people's life and enable them to realize their potential, that they may say, in your absence, behold, there came a man or a woman who during his term of office empowered us and enabled us to change our lives for the better. And that requires compassion and courage and humility.